Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott Selections here for Tuesday, June 11th. I'm sorry this video is coming out so late, but YouTube has had some issues with its live streaming service today. So instead, I had to get creative, and I decided to just record a video on my computer, and then I would simply just upload that video to YouTube. So other than that, the show will still remain the same. It's just a matter of the fact that something along with YouTube's programming was down. So this video is coming out later than expected. However, you still have roughly an hour and a half before this game starts, so I wouldn't worry about missing the pick. Other than that, quick reminder, before we get into the play of the day, we'll quickly recap what happened yesterday. We did not have a play of the day, but we did end up giving out our leans for the basketball, and we ended up splitting those. We ended up losing with the over 214.5. I believe it ended at 211, and we did win on the Warriors money line at plus 110 in some spots. That game was definitely one of the most entertaining finals games I've ever seen. Shame that Kevin Durant ended up getting injured. I hope his career still, I hope he still remains the best player in the NBA, in my opinion, and I hope that the injury isn't going to ruin the rest of his career. But in terms of betting, I think the Warriors would have easily won if Durant played the entire game, and I think the Warriors game would have gone easily over the total. But with that being said, you have Game 6 coming up in a couple of days. I'm excited for that. Stanley Cup, you also have Game 7 coming up tomorrow. But today, you have an exclusive baseball card once again, and the play of the day, we're actually going to be looking at a prop here, and it will be between the Yankees and the Mets in Game 2 of the doubleheader. And the play that we like for value purposes, we like the Yankees to score first at minus 110, which is available at 5 dimes. Pitching matchup here is between Jason Vargas and James Paxton. Vargas was fantastic in his last start as he ended up pitching a complete game shutout as he was able to destroy San Francisco. But if you beat San Francisco and you shut them out, does that really count? Because San Francisco's offense is awful. Also worth mentioning that Vargas has looked better lately, but he is significantly better at home than he is on the road. As his home and away splits, he currently has a 4.87 ERA on the road and a 2.52 ERA at home. So he does pitch better in his home park. Meanwhile, the Yankees, for the pitching matchup, will be using James Paxton, who struggled in his last start on the road against Toronto. But there's one stat that I have to mention here, which I find absolutely absurd, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. James Paxton, so far this season at Yankee Stadium, has pitched in 26.2 innings. How many runs has he given up? Earned runs. He's given up 1 earned run in 26.2 innings. 3 runs in total, which means that his ERA at home is .34. That is absolutely insane. His ERA on the road is 6.86, so his home road splits are insane. But at home, he's been unhittable, and I definitely think he will pitch well in this one. I'm a little bit concerned from the fielding standpoint with the Yankees in this one because of the fact that they will be using Torres at shortstop, and they will be using famous outfielder Clint Frazier, who's arguably the worst outfielder in terms of actually playing the field in all of baseball. But at the same point, I still like the Yankees lineup in comparison to the Mets. McNeil, Davis, Alonso, Frazier, Conforto, Ramos, Rosario, Hechavarria, and Gomez. Not a bad lineup by any means, but you got LeMahieu, Voit, Sanchez, Torres, Frazier, Urshela, Maben, Romine, and Gardner. I think that those lineups are pretty much a toss-up, but I do like the fact that the wind is blowing out heavily to right field. I know that's beneficial for the Yankees usually because of the short porch and right, but the Yankees have stacked up their lineup to the right side. Some of their hitters are known to hit opposite field, though, and the Mets do have a lot of righties in that lineup. I think that Paxton will pitch well. I think Vargas will struggle because of the fact that his stuff isn't very dynamic. Vargas is a very control-based pitcher who throws a roughly an 89-mile-an-hour fastball, and I think that after the Yankees completely demolished the Mets pitching in the day game by scoring 12 runs, I think Voit can go deep in the first inning. I think Sanchez can go deep in the first inning. I think Paxton will pitch really well. So for that reason, I think at minus 110, I think there's a lot of value on the Yankees scoring first, and that will be the play of the day. Moving on to the rest of the leans on today's baseball card. Next game between the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. We were right again with the Diamondbacks yesterday. I'm going to keep leaning to the Diamondbacks in this one. I know Arrieta's a lot better of a pitcher than Duplantier, but there's no way I'm going against the Diamondbacks lineup right now. They're cooking, and I'm not going to go against them. Leaning to the Diamondbacks there. Moving on, Yankees with a play today. Toronto and Baltimore, I will lean to the under 9 here. Means actually pitched really well. Thornton's been hit or miss, but he has decent stuff. I think this total's a little bit too high, lean to the under. Moving on, you have the Cardinals and the Marlins. We were right about yesterday with the under lean between those two, as Waka ended up pitching well. With Hudson and Hernandez. Hernandez is a relative unknown. I lean to the Cardinals, as Hudson has looked decent this season. Hernandez has had a couple of starts, not many, but I'll lean to the Cardinals. I think they have the better team. Moving on, you have the Red Sox and the Rangers with Jurado versus Hernandez. Hernandez making his first start of the season. I'll lean to the over 10.5. Rangers snuck away with a 4-3 victory yesterday, but I do like the over here. Jurado's had good numbers. I don't think he'll pitch well in Fenway today. And Hernandez, I don't know what to expect with his first start. Lean to the over there. Moving on, you have the A's and the Rays with Fires versus Stanek. I would lean to the Rays there. Naturally, Rays are cooking. Fires has looked awful this season with the exception of the no-hitter, and I think the Rays will get the job done there, so I lean to the Rays. Moving on, you have the Reds and the Indians with Castillo and Bauer. I lean to the Reds in this one. Castillo is fantastic, and he's one of the favorites to win the NL Cy Young. I don't like the way that Bauer's pitched lately, so I'll lean to the Reds at a small underdog price there. Moving on, the Pirates and the Braves. I lean to the over 10 here. Both pitchers have terrible home-away splits. Archer's been awful on the road. Fulton-Davis has been awful at home. I think that's a perfect storm for an over. Lean to the over there. Moving on, Peralta and Peacock as the Brewers take on the Astros. I lean to the over 8.5 there. Peralta was good in his last start, but he's been better at Miller Park than he has been on the road. And Peacock has been pretty solid, but I still like both lineups. Lean to the over 8.5. Moving on, you have the Twins versus the Mariners with Leak versus Perez. Lean to the over. I don't know how you don't lean to the over. Twins are, they set the franchise record for most home runs before the All-Star break, and the Mariners also have no pitching and love to hit homers. Lean to the over there. Moving on, you have Banuelos versus Corbin with the Nationals versus the White Sox. I lean to the White Sox here at a huge underdog price. This team's actually played really well lately, and I definitely think that the Nationals should not be that big of a favorite after Corbin's recent outing against the Padres. Lean to the White Sox on the money line there. Moving on, you have the Royals and the Tigers with Turnbull versus Janus. I lean to the over 8.5. I just don't like either pitcher, and I think that their lineups will do enough to generate 8.5 runs. Lean to the over. Moving on, you have a rematch of one of the plays of the day we had the other day, which was between the Rockies and the Cubs with Quintana versus Lambert. Lambert, in his first start, was remarkable against the Cubs. Quintana was pretty solid, but he wasn't good enough. This is in Coors Field, though. I have to lean to the Cubs. I know Lambert was great, but the Cubs have actually seen him before now, and it's in Coors, so the ball should travel. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rizzo and Baez take Lambert deep. I think that the Cubs will win this game. Moving on, you have the Padres and the Giants. Lean to the over 7.5 here, which is available at Bookmaker and Heritage. I know that Paddock has great numbers, but he's definitely fallen off a little bit in the last month. He was unbelievable, started falling apart lately, but I still like how he pitches. Beatty's been awful, 0-2 with like an 8+ ERA. I lean to the over 7.5 there. And the last game will be the Dodgers and the Angels, and we will lean to the Dodgers on that one with Maeda versus Bedrosian. Props to the Angels for winning the first game of the series and giving Ryu his second loss of the season. But I still like the Dodgers as a team, and I will lean to the Dodgers there. But the play of the day, as I said before, will be on the Yankees to score first against the Mets, and that is available at -110 on 5 dimes. Other than that, quick reminder of our sponsor, PointsBet, online sportsbook in New Jersey. A couple of great deals, up to 2 risk-free bets of up to $1,000. So if you end up losing one of your picks and you end up getting your money back, great deal. And they also have some NBA Finals and Stanley Cup deals, but I'm not going to mention any of those because there are no games relevant to that tonight. But with that being said, the play of the day is on the Yankees to score first at -110. That game's kicking off at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And with that being said, good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.